Hello YouTube, kind of a bonus video. I was originally going to do one segment of a video and kind of combine it with something else. I was actually starting the process of working on a little something, kind of on the heels of my last video where I was talking about the marketing thing. I decided it'd be kind of fun to spend a little bit of time. Instead of just talking about, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that, I kind of put it on myself to do a little bit of a challenge. I said, if Upper Deck came by and said, okay, you don't like this stuff, how would you do it? How would you lay out an entire product lineup for the AEW license? Specifically, how would you modify the approach? Because I said I would like to see some more sets and I would like to have them spaced out in a certain way, and I thought I would do a video just talking about that. Now, I have actually started the process of creating a couple of slides. It won't be anything too crazy. It'll just be a supplement. I'll spend most of the time just kind of explaining and talking through it, but I thought it'd be kind of a fun exercise. So maybe if you want to play along with it, you can start thinking about that one a little bit, because when I drop the video, we can have a little bit of a discussion about it. Important caveat, though, is you got to remember, if you're in charge of the AEW license in this case, you got to use whatever Upper Deck has available to it. So you can say it would be really nice to have Immaculate, but that belongs to Panini, so you won't have access to it regardless. And we can't assume they'll suddenly get access to these additional brands that they don't have access to. So it's got to stay under the Upper Deck umbrella. If Upper Deck has access to it, then it's fair game for this particular game that we're going to play. But that'll be in the next video. So on this one, what I wanted to do is combine two things really quickly. The first one is I didn't have much of a mail day, but I did have a couple of items that did come in this past week. So I thought I would quickly go over those, because that'll completely clear the deck for the next couple of weeks from now, where I go to the expo and I've got a box that should be waiting for me with a bunch of stuff. So on that mail day should be a lot more elaborate and a lot more involved. I did get one card that came in for the Britt Baker PC. Nothing too crazy, but this is from 2025 AEW, and it is the Dynamite Parallel. Let's see if I can use the lighting on this one. It's not the best. I know we're used to me using the iPhone, and it's much better at showing the colors and everything. Let me see if I can back that up a little bit. Regardless, these are ones numbered to 199, I think. Yep, 199. So that one is going to go in the Z Folio with the other ones, but that is another one off that checklist. And like I said, the pickups were very small, but I did get a couple of Blu-rays from AEW directly, because even though I'm not a big collector of the miscellaneous stuff, I don't have a lot of action figures. I was gifted a few, so I have those ones. But for the most part, I don't bother with a lot of the stuff outside of the cards. I do enjoy the Blu-rays, and it's one of those things where I have some old WWE ones, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to have some AEW ones as well. So I grabbed a few from a couple of recent events. So first one is from AEW Double or Nothing. You got kind of the graphics from the poster and everything included on there. So nothing too crazy. But I do like that it includes the entire card showing on there. So that's kind of a fun one with the Anarchy and the arena and everything. So that's a decent little pickup. So I guess I'll put together a little collection of these. Now that I know I can kind of pick these up reasonably enough, I'll probably grab one for the All Out as well. Speaking of the other side in, I also had to do the All In. So I paired them up with this one, which is a fun card if you got a chance to sit there and watch it. They are super long, but it is nice to have them Blu-ray. And this is a 2-disc set because the damn thing is so long. Probably with some extras and the countdown and the 0 hour and everything. Probably necessitated 2 discs. And at the same time, it was on my birthday. So that's a nice little bonus there. So there you go. First couple of AEW Blu-rays to have in the collection. Now, having gone over that, like I said, it wasn't anything too crazy, but that's where I was going to transition over into the video idea that I just talked to you about coming up with a whole new line for Upper Deck, figuring out AEW and kind of deciding which brands and everything they're going to use in order to redo it. So again, that'll be probably in the next video. I'll work on it a little bit more, and maybe we'll put that out over the weekend. But I did have something that kind of fell in my lap. I didn't originally catch this, and I think it was only released yesterday. So now I'm going to do it on the channel. I'm going to share it with you, because the information and solicitation has come out for 2026 Upper Deck Allure AEW. Now, before I say anything else, I am going to point out that, speaking of the marketing piece, it's good now. Right now, we're on October 24th that I'm recording this. We know that this product's going to come out. But right now, the tentative date in it isn't until April. It's one of those things where, like, it's cool to know, and I'm going to go over a couple pieces of it with you, and I'll include a link in the description to it if you want to check it out for yourself. We obviously won't have a checklist until right before it's going to come out, but it's one of those things, like, we know some of these products so far in advance that you almost forget about them. So there is an upside and a downside. The upside is to let people know these things are coming. The downside is that if it's this far in advance, you basically forget it's coming out, so that by the time it does, it basically catches you by surprise. That was kind of one of the points I was making when I was doing the last video, where I said, no, these things do get discussed, but it's basically on folks like me to kind of catch them and then make videos like this, where I basically have to tell you it's coming, and then we forget about it until basically it's about to come, and then we talk about the checklist, and only then do we really get into it again. So I'm pulling this off of GTS Distribution. It's usually pretty good about having some of this information available. You can see there, October 23rd. So it's basically only yesterday that this got dropped on the website. So basically what you end up here with 2026 Allure is a lot of the stuff that you had seen previously. So I'll go over some of the high level stuff, and I'll leave it to you if you want to read into it a little bit deeper for now, is that you get at least one autograph or premium insert parallel. So they are guaranteeing you either an autograph or a premium insert in parallel, and we'll kind of look into what that's defined as later on. Plus 8 color flow cards, and 12 parallels, including 4 numbered parallels and 3 inserts in every box. So basically every single pack will have something. Which is traditional with Allure. It's something that you should expect. The base set is a 100 card base set with 80 wrestlers and then a 20 card in action subset. So they're including a subset inside of it, which is again kind of traditional with Allure. So they're doing a 20 and 80. The overall configuration itself also is kind of following a similar formula to previous years. You got 18 boxes in a case with 8 packs and 8 cards per box. So 64 cards in every single box. That's kind of what you traditionally expect. We've seen that before, and we expect to see that again here. Now, scrolling further down, we take a closer look at the box break itself. So what you should expect in a box is, again, one autograph or premium insert parallel. Now, what they're defining as the premium insert or parallel card are missed parallel cards, vapor cards, numbered parallel cards, ratioed short print cards, or printing plates, numbered to 10 or a 1 of 1. And the numbered to 10 or 1 of 1 is the numbered parallel card. So basically a lower numbered parallel. And the 3 inserts that are comprised of either from Glow Vectors, Continental Competitors, AEW Collision Course, and or Star Attraction cards. With this breakdown, they do have some mock-ups, so we're going to get a chance to take a look at that. One of them in particular I think is actually really well done, and I think it's worthwhile kind of highlighting here, so we'll take a closer look at it here in a second. So we already talked about, again, some of the breakdown. I'm not going to go into all this, so feel free to read into it when you get a chance if you want to follow the link. But a lot of the stuff that you're used to before in terms of color flows and things like that, that's what you should expect. And like I said, color flows is actually the one that I'm going to focus on when we get a closer look at it, when we look at some of the mock-ups, because I do think they put a little twist on it that I think makes it very interesting. Now with the color flows here, they do mention that there is a out of 199 parallel to the base set of the color flows, even though they're different levels as well. And there is the full rainbow autograph card as well. Again, consistent with what you've seen before. You got 16-bit and doubloons as well. That's coming back. And there is a doubloons championship belt card, which is very short printed, high ratio on that one. For the new ones, you've got the Glow Vectors, Continental Competitors, AEW Collision Course, the Star Attraction cards, which we talked about, various parallels of it. And the Golden Treasures is one of the big attractions to it. Purple Diamond is out of 10. Autograph parallels, you've got a lot of that stuff going on. So if it sounds very similar to the previous couple of years of Allure, it's because they're not really breaking the formula here. They're making certain adjustments to it, but some of the adjustments that I did see, I think are actually going to be to its benefit. So let's take a look at the mock-ups here. First one here is your base set. So you got a nice Tekla looking card there. I think that'll probably look pretty good in hand. I got to see it obviously a little bit closer to get a better sense of it, but I think it's a pretty well conceived idea. And the second one there is also a base card technically, but this is the autograph parallel. It's the inaction, which is a nice action shot, but then you've got your red auto parallel. So that Tony Storm there, I like it conceptually. I think design-wise, it gave you a nice spot to put the autograph. It is going to be sticker autos, so just be aware of that because that is always the case with these ones. And then the Osprey over there is the black and blue parallel showing up for out of 35. So I think it's a lot busier because you've got the swirls and stuff going on in there. I don't mind it. Again, Allure has to have a certain distinct look. It is the one of the chromium sets, which is one of those things that honestly has become very popular in wrestling. Panini had Prism and Select, and then with Topps, you have Topps Chrome. So it's one of those things you want to have those things because they are very popular. And I think Allure does a pretty good job taking care of that for Upper Deck. And then you can imagine we're going to have a full complement of parallels with these, which we'll go over in a second. But then here's some of the inserts. So the Glow Vectors, I have to see that in hand. It's kind of a weird one. Vapors, I think, again, could be interesting in hand. Star Attractions, that one's, it's fine. I don't mind the concept of it. And again, you're seeing an autograph parallel of it. So again, I'd have to see it in hand. These ones don't do too much for me. I'm not super impressed with these, at least in terms of the mock-up. But in hand with the chromium, it may look a little bit different. The next page I think is a little bit more interesting here. Here is the one that I kind of caught my eye when I was looking at it. And I kind of heard a little bit about this, and I think it translates well. And what they did is they took the color flow concept, and they basically added in the art from Luke the Cartist, who's done various things with AEW and some of the other Upper Deck brands. So what you've got basically, your color flow. Your color flow concept is you've got a little mini rainbow built in with all the different colors. It flows from the red all the way to the purple at the very end. But in this case, instead of taking the same card and just having it move that way in terms of the color scheme, the Luke the Cartist art is working its way all the way through the background, and you've got 5 distinct images here that basically create a collage. So like this Megan Bayne card actually looks pretty good just because you're starting off with one Megan Bayne image, ending with another one, and then in the middle you've got the big Megan Bayne image, and her arms actually extend out into the second and fourth cards. So I actually think that's kind of a neat idea. And then with the art is actually connecting. So you basically are creating a puzzle piece with all these different ones. And there is a numbered version of this as well. And then once you've completed a set of these, you do have a numbered Spectrum version. So that's the number to 199. I think this one is actually pretty well conceived. I would love to see, I'm very curious about what the checklist will look like in terms of which wrestlers are included in it. But like this Megan Bayne one, if I was collecting PC Megan Bayne, this right here is an awesome. little mini collection of them, and you can have the 5 of them and then the 5 Spectrum versions underneath it. And that right there would be a pretty cool group of 10 cards right there, especially if you're collecting for PC purposes. I would kind of display that because, especially with the art and everything going in the background, it is kind of a good looking one. So we're always happy to give the critique where it deserved, but I will also give the kudos where it deserved. I like this concept. I want to see it in execution, but in terms of concept, I like the idea. And then, of course, you can conclude it at the very end with the rainbow autograph version, just kind of top it off. And here are the last couple ones they show in the mock-ups. The doubloons, I don't mind. The 16-bit, yeah, I'm kind of used to it at this point in terms of what it is. The Mina Shirakawa is it's kind of funny in terms of that. The Mean Muggin, we gotta have a conversation. I don't know about that one. Apparently, it says 4-sided die-cut cards featuring AEW stars, including the current AEW men and women's world champions. Oh, great. I'm just nah. I got a floating head of Mark Briscoe there inside of a coffee cup. I'm just we were doing so well. We were doing so well. And then we got to this. The doubloons, fine. The 16-bit, no problem. But then the Mean Muggin, I'm just like, oh, we were doing so well. It was going so well. I'm sure there's an audience that probably is going to get a kick out of it, but I'm not that audience. I'll tolerate it, but did I mention that I really like the color flow? Did I make mention that I think the color flow is a really nice idea? I think this is good. This is great. The Mean Muggin, not so much. I don't need more floating head things in terms of my trading cards, but fine, whatever. All right, last slide here is just a breakdown of what we already talked about in the past. So again, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can take a closer look at this. I will quickly click on the other tab as well, just so we can get a look at kind of the breakdown of all the different parallels. I'm not going to read through all of them. Again, you'll have a chance to see and download it as a PDF if you want to take a closer look at it. But I do think I think overall, like I'm pretty happy with it. I feel like a lot of elements of this have upgraded over the previous Spectrum. So I'll get off of that for a second, and then I'll quickly go over into doing the screen share for the other one. This is a PDF that you can check out for yourself. It shows you the base set and it shows you all the different ratios. So it really breaks everything down in terms of what's available, all the way down to the golden treasures. So again, that is something that's going to be a major chase. The different autograph parallels are 1 in 216 packs, which is going to be fairly tough. Now just scrolling ahead here in terms of the themed insert cards. So the Vapors are 1 in 72 packs, which is pretty tough. The Doubloons, 1 in 146, very tough. That Doubloons Championship belt one we were talking about is 1 in 14,400 packs. That's going to be a very, very tough one. The Mean Muggin is 1 in 144 packs, mercifully. And then the 16-bit is 1 in 486 packs. So that's a really tough one in terms of that. You are getting 8 color flows per box. So realistically, you'll have a chance to put together a group of them. The Spectrums are numbered to 199. It looks like there isn't any Golden Treasures version of those, which is fine. I actually think that kind of helps you scale back a little bit. It is good to show restraint sometimes. I really like the Golden Treasures. I think they're a fun chase in terms of that. Actually, can I show this a different way better? Let me see if I can click on this. Yeah, I completely forgot I had that option. Anyway, I like the fact that we're not just using the Golden Treasures all over the place because it does get to be too much. There are definitely some examples though, like the Glow Vectors does have a 1-of-1 Golden Treasures. The Continental Competitors does as well in the Collision Course. So we already have them in all these other places. We don't necessarily then need to have them in the color flow, which already has a bunch of parallels to begin with. So I actually appreciate that they did hold back because previously there were color flow 1-of-1s and they're very nice and I enjoy having them in my collection, but already you're going to have enough to chase anyway if your favorite wrestler is involved in one of these checklists. Just scrolling through, you've got all the different odds and everything, the not auto base cards, the not auto base set cards, you can already see there, you've got a number of parallels to chase. So overall, if I take it right from the base set to it, it looks like it's 10, if I read that right, all the way through the Golden Treasures 1-of-1s, and then the base set very similar to it. So already there's going to be plenty to challenge you, I would say. That's going to be enough to keep you busy. And that's what 2026 AEW Allure looks like. So again, I think there's a lot of it that I like, but I'm back to what I was saying a little bit earlier about the marketing thing. Now I'm able to at least go through that with you and show you and share it. And then again, you can take back the information, take the link and take a closer look at it. But even if it gets you really excited, even if you're really engaged in it, we still have to wait for SP Game Use, which right now is delayed and we're waiting for it, I think, towards the end of November. Then SP Signature Series, which isn't until probably January. And then this would be after that. So we've still got 2 releases before then and probably a couple of e-pack drops between now and then. So it's like, it's cool it's out there. And I'm happy to make the video kind of breaking it down and talking because it gives us something to talk about here. But at the same time, I'd much rather be talking to you about SP Game Use right now. Or at least in the next couple of weeks. I would be happy to be talking about SP Game Use before the Toronto Expo, because then at the Toronto Expo, I'd probably grab a couple boxes and I would open them up on the channel. That right there would be something that I would be very happy to do because That's what keeps the wheels moving. Right now, we're kind of in a lull period. Topps release Topps Finest. So right now, the singles are out there. So if you're chasing after some of those, there's plenty to chase. But at the same time, right now, that's been out for a couple of weeks now. And now we're waiting on the next thing, which I think is Exalted. So really, we're just kind of in a bit of a lull because once the product releases, there is a cycle there of a couple of weeks where it's super hot, and then maybe a month or a month and a half that gives people a chance kind of to go find the singles and everything. But beyond that, it's no longer just about keeping up with your PC. It's kind of like the wheels stop a little bit. You're kind of just waiting around for people to open up enough boxes for the singles to get in the system, to chase after them. And it just kind of sits back and waits, and the momentum gets lost until the next product comes out that kind of gets everybody excited again. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for a consistency in the momentum that has a certain cadence. If we have enough things happening, even if it's once every couple of months, that's enough to keep everybody engaged. In a perfect world, we would have an AEW product and a Topps product the following month, an AEW product, a Topps product, 12 products a year, 2 different companies, 2 different sets of brands. And I think that would be enough to keep all the wrestling card collectors happy, whether they like to have 1 promotion or 2 promotions. But I don't think we're going to get that level of coordination or that level of a staggered release, because that would give everyone enough time. You'd be able to go and get into your breaks, go get your singles, do whatever you want to do. And then by the time you put together most of the cards you're looking for, the next product comes out. That would be a perfect world for me. But anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed that little quick breakdown. So now you know that there is another new product coming out 2 products from now. Unless something else gets announced, I think that would be the next one afterwards, because we got something in January, theoretically, and then we've got something in April, theoretically, again, pending if nothing gets delayed, and that would take us into the spring of 2026. So we'll definitely have to see how that works out. I will say though, like I mentioned earlier, I think the color flow idea I think is tremendous. The mean mugging, not so much. But the color flow I really like. I like the idea. I like the concept of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that actually looks like in hand sometime next year. That's it for this one. More videos coming up on the channel. I'm trying to show a little bit of restraint. I'm waiting until the Toronto Expo before I do anything else. But at that point, I'll definitely have a pickup video where I'll be able to talk through some of that and maybe a couple of box breaks. We'll see. We'll see how impatient I get when I show up there. If I see anything at a price point that I like, I might open a couple boxes of it. We'll see how that goes. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Just got a first look at this new product. There's some things that I like, some things that I'm not so keen on. Again, they're mock-ups, so obviously in hand they could look totally different. But curious if anything that you saw there caught your eye. And again, links in the description to all of it if you want to take a closer look, because I would recommend that just so you can get a better sense of whether it's something interesting for you. With that said, that's it for this one. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you in the next one.